In this overview of the Homestead Strike of 1892, we will cover the background and rising tensions, the beginning of the strike and the Pinkerton Confrontation, government intervention and the strike's collapse, and the lasting legacy and significance of this pivotal event in American labor history. Background and rising tensions. In the late 19th century, a fierce battle between the labor and management erupted in the steel mills of Pennsylvania. The Homestead Strike of 1892 was a pivotal moment in American labor history, highlighting the intense struggle for workers' rights and fair wages. The Homestead Strike took place at Homestead Steel Works in Homestead, Pennsylvania, a steel mill owned by Andrew Carnegie and managed by Henry Clay Frick. By the late 1880s, the steel industry was booming, but workers faced grueling conditions, long hours, and low wages. The Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers, AA, represented the skilled workers at Homestead that had secured favorable contracts in previous negotiations. As the existing contract was set to expire in 1892, tensions began to rise. Andrew Carnegie, a prominent industrialist, was determined to break the power of the Union. He left for Scotland, leaving Henry Clay Frick in charge. Frick, known for his hardline approach, announced significant wage cuts and declared the company would no longer recognize the union. The AA rejected the wage cuts and called for a strike, setting the stage for a major confrontation. The strike begins and the Pinkerton Confrontation. On June 29, 1892, the strike officially began. Frick responded by locking out the workers and fortifying the mill with a high fence toppled with barbed wire, earning it the nickname Fort Frick. He also hired 300 Pinkerton detectives, a private security force, to protect the plant and break the strike. The Pinkertons were notorious for their aggressive tactics against labor movements. In the early hours of July 6, 1892, a barge carrying the Pinkertons attempted to land near the mill. Strikers and their supporters, aware of the Pinkertons' arrival, confronted them on the Monongahela River. As the Pinkertons tried to disembark, they were met with fierce resistance. The strikers had armed themselves with whatever weapons they could find, including guns and makeshift projectiles. A fierce battle ensued, lasting for hours. Gunfire was exchanged, and both sides suffered casualties. 7 workers and 3 Pinkertons were killed, and dozens were injured. Ultimately, the Pinkertons were forced to surrender and were marched through the town by the triumphant strikers, only to be harassed and beaten by the angry crowd. Government intervention and the strike's collapse. The victory over the Pinkertons was short-lived. The governor of Pennsylvania, Robert E. Pattison, called in the state militia to restore order. On July 12, 8,000 soldiers arrived in Homestead, imposing martial law and securing the mill for Frick. With the military support, Frick was able to bring in strikebreakers to resume production. The presence of the militia and the replacement workers weakened the strike significantly. During the strike, an anarchist named Alexander Berkman, who was not connected to the Union, attempted to assassinate Frick. On July 23rd, Berkman entered Frick's office and shot him twice before stabbing him multiple times. Miraculously, Frick survived the attack. Berkman was subdued and later sentenced to 22 years in prison. Although Berkman's actions were independent, the assassination attempt damaged public support for the strikers, who were unfairly associated with the violence. Despite the continued efforts of the strikers, the combination of the state's militia presence, the use of strikebreakers, and the waning public sympathy led to the strike's gradual collapse. By November 1892, the strike had ended in defeat for the workers. The union was broken, and many of the striking workers were blacklisted, making it difficult for them to find employment in the steel industry again. Legacy and the significance of the Homestead Strike. The Homestead Strike highlighted the extreme measures that industrialists were willing to take to maintain control over the operations and suppress union activity. It also underscored the limitations of labor unions in the face of powerful corporate interests backed by government forces. Despite the defeat, the strike raised awareness of the harsh working conditions and need for labor reforms. The legacy of the Homestead Strike is a complex one. While it was a setback for the labor movement, it also galvanized efforts to improve workers' rights and conditions. The strike is remembered as a symbol of the intense struggle between labor and capital in the industrial age, a struggle that continues to resonate in labor relations today. The Homestead Strike serves as a powerful reminder of the ongoing fight for workers' rights and the quest for social justice. The events of 1892 illustrate the lengths to which workers will go to secure fair treatment and the extreme measures employers will take to protect their interests. The struggle for a balance between labor and management and the quest for fair wages and working conditions remains a vital issue in today's world. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Homestead Strike. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more historical explorations, and check out some of our playlists of American history to learn more.